In late October, two major events in Asia have captured global attention: the Chinese Communist Party's fourth plenum and Japan's prime ministerial designation election. These developments will shape the future trajectories of China and Japan and are matters of particular concern to the United States and China. On October 21st, Japan's first female prime minister emerged. 64-year-old Sanae Takaichi became the 104th prime minister of Japan. Surrounding the prime ministerial election, Japanese politics staged a riveting, suspenseful battle of offense and defense. Today, we examine the protagonist of this drama, Sanae Takaichi, how she rose from a student band drummer and motorcycle enthusiast to the pinnacle of politics, and her potential impact on Asia, especially China-Japan relations. This is October 31st Eastern Time. I am Jingyuan Tang. Welcome to subscribe. Let's first return to October 4th. On that day, Sanae Takaichi was elected the new president of Japan's Liberal Democratic Party, LDP, becoming the first female president in the LDP's 70-year history. This news immediately sent shockwaves through global capital and diplomatic circles. Numerous analyses concluded that Takaichi becoming Japan's first female prime minister was virtually assured. President Trump swiftly posted praise on his social media platform, Truth Social. Japan has just elected its first female prime minister. She is a highly respected individual with exceptional wisdom and strong will. He further noted, "For the great people of Japan, this is tremendous news. Congratulations." In stark contrast, Beijing reacted with alarm, ramping up negative propaganda. Topics related to Sanae Takaichi dominated the top of Baidu and Weibo hot search lists for days. Introductions and analyses predominantly labeled her as the female version of Abe, right-wing conservative, and hardline on China. Negative comments proliferated, portraying her as a provocateur against China, repeatedly emphasizing her multiple public visits to Yasukuni Shrine, denial of the Nanjing massacre, and promotion of the China threat theory. Contrary to Beijing's response, Taiwan celebrated enthusiastically, promptly issuing a congratulatory statement calling her a steadfast friend of Taiwan and actively preparing to receive a delegation dispatched by Takaichi. Unexpectedly, the situation shifted dramatically. On October 10th, Japan's Komeito Party announced its withdrawal from the 26-year ruling coalition with the LDP. Losing Komeito's 24 seats left the LDP with only 196 seats in the House of Representatives, widening the gap to the majority threshold of 233. This instantly rendered Takaichi's prime ministerial aspirations uncertain. The three major opposition parties declared cooperation to nominate their own prime ministerial candidate. The originally scheduled October 15th designation election for the new prime minister was postponed to the 21st. Suddenly, Japan's multi-party maneuvering descended into chaos, with the future subject to multiple competing scenarios. Komeito and the LDP had formed a coalition government since October 1999. For 26 years, Komeito served as the LDP's escort fleet, providing critical seat support to maintain regime stability. Takaichi herself repeatedly emphasized that the LDP-Komeito coalition is the most fundamental cornerstone. So, what caused the two parties to collapse and part ways? According to media reports, the pro-China-leaning Komeito, before exiting the coalition, presented three demands to the LDP. First, the prime minister must not visit Yasukuni Shrine. Second, no exclusion or discrimination against foreigners. Takaichi essentially agreed to these two. She stated that, upon becoming prime minister, she would not visit Yasukuni Shrine. This represented a major concession by Takaichi. Komeito's third demand was to strengthen regulations on corporate political donations. This became the primary point of contention between the parties. To prevent recurrence of political donation scandals, Komeito demanded strict limits on channels for corporate and group donations, including bans on specific pathways and enhanced transparency. Takaichi partially accepted, responding that they would continue negotiations. Corporate political donations are a primary revenue source for LDP local organizations. For the newly elected President Takaichi, Easily agreeing would immediately provoke strong internal party backlash. During their cooperation, Komeito had always tacitly approved corporate donations. Yet this time, Komeito was unusually inflexible. Because its demands were not 100% accepted, it abruptly ended the 26-year political marriage. This struck many as abrupt. Komeito's stated reason: failing to exit the coalition would damage the party's clean image. What was the real reason behind this? It likely involves Chinese Communist Party, CCP, interference. Journalists observed that, after Takaichi's election as LDP president, Chinese ambassador to Japan Wu Jianghao paid a special visit to Komeito Representative Tetsuo Saito. Following their meeting, Komeito, long viewed as consistently pro-CCP, suddenly hardened its stance toward the LDP. The eventual split between the parties. Could these be unrelated? Readers are invited to share their views. Why then does Sanae Takaichi particularly alarm the CCP? In CCP eyes, Takaichi, a member of Japan's conservative faction, is seen as an extreme right-winger within the LDP, akin to a female Trump. The previous president, Shigeru Ishiba, whom the CCP labeled centrist or moderate, was regarded by Japanese conservatives as the most pro-China figure. He was forced to resign after 1 year by party lawmakers. This stemmed mainly from Ishiba's overly soft stance toward the CCP, indifference to Taiwan, relaxed visa policies for Chinese tourists, and failure to respond firmly to CCP military aircraft incursions, accused of sacrificing Japanese security to appease Beijing. This led to LDP defeats in the October House of Representatives and July House of Councilors elections last year, marking the first time in 70 years the party lost majorities in both chambers. In the presidential runoff, Ishiba lost to Takaichi by 29 votes. Shinjiro Koizumi is more pro-US than Ishiba and milder toward Beijing than Takaichi, positioning him as a centrist. Thus, Takaichi's election was the outcome the CCP least wanted to see. It also signals a broader tilt in Japanese society toward traditional conservatism. Japan will adopt hardline policies toward the CCP in the future, no longer as weak as under Ishiba. Beijing, unwilling to sit idly by, taking steps to influence Japan's election is entirely normal for it. It routinely does the same with US and other national elections, leveraging economic tools to shift political landscapes. Takaichi vowed to absolutely become prime minister and to revitalize Japan's economy upon taking office. What capital and qualifications allow her to make such a pledge? Below, we trace her growth trajectory and personal anecdotes, how a heavy metal, music-loving drummer transformed into the political Abe girl. Readers will likely find their own answers therein. Sanae Takaichi was born in March 1961 in Nara Prefecture, Japan's ancient capital, not from a political family. Her mother was a police officer. Her father worked in sales for the Toyota Group. Takaichi's childhood nickname was Atsuashi, thick cow, reflecting her diligent and resilient personality. Upon high school graduation, she was accepted with excellent scores to top universities, Keio and Waseda, but due to high tuition, followed parental advice to attend National Kobe University, where fees were 1/3 of private institutions, majoring in business mathematics within the management department. Even so, she worked part-time to cover tuition, commuting 6 hours daily to her parents' home. This did not hinder her studious and multifaceted nature. She served as drummer in a campus heavy metal rock band, often breaking sticks during intense performances and keeping multiples in reserve. She also loved motorcycle riding, diving, and other sports. Clearly, she was an energetic young woman. Later, as a Diet member, she performed the band's hits on television and long drove a Toyota Supra. In university, Takaichi showed no interest in politics. Later, she was drawn to the theories of businessman Konosuke Matsushita, known as the God of Management. After graduating in 1984, she entered the Matsushita Institute of Government and Management, a cradle of Japanese politicians that produced numerous cabinet ministers and Diet members. Matsushita became Takaichi's life mentor. In 1985, amid Japan's bubble economy peak when the world looked up to Japan, Matsushita told Takaichi, Japan will fall in a long-term decline in the 1990s. This shocked her, igniting her patriotism and marking the turning point for entering politics. About 25 years ago, Takaichi co-authored with 16 other institute graduates who became Diet members the book 21st Century, Japan's Prosperity Strategy, PHP Institute. It compiled their visions for national development. In it, Takaichi outlined her blueprint for the nation if she governed in the future. Every passionate policy in the book became the foundation of her current platform. In 1987, the Institute sent her to the U.S. Congress as a researcher. She worked in the office of Democratic House member Patricia Schroeder. This was the height of U.S.-Japan trade friction. Schroeder was known for criticizing Japan. Takaichi went to deeply understand American views on Japan. Returning in 1989 and graduating, she became a university professor and spent 2 years as a television news anchor. In 1992, she ran for the Diet as an independent and lost, but persisted, winning in 1993. After several attempts, she joined the LDP in late 1996. She has since been elected to the Diet 10 times, losing only once in 2003. She held multiple high-level government posts, including Minister for Economic Security, Vice Minister for Economy, Trade and Industry, and the longest-serving Minister of Internal Affairs and Communications on record. Interestingly, her sole electoral defeat led to her marriage, a highly unconventional story. In 2004, at age 43, after becoming an economics professor at a private university, Takaichi accepted a proposal from LDP House member Taku Yamamoto, 10 years her senior. Her brother was Yamamoto's secretary. Yamamoto called saying, I want to take care of you too. I have a chef's license and will cook for you for life. They married with zero dating. Though she praised her husband's cooking, major policy differences led to divorce in July 2017. However, after Yamamoto retired from politics in 2021 and fully supported her presidential bid, they remarried. This time, on the family register, Yamamoto took his wife's surname, becoming Taku Takaichi. This reflected Takaichi's advocacy for unified surnames, but not necessarily the husband's. Rumor has it they decided via rock, paper, scissors. Yamamoto lost and dutifully took her name. Yet Takaichi is not the domineering figure imagined. Publicly, she is always smiling and approachable. At home, a devoted wife. Early this year, with her husband bedridden from a stroke, she juggled campaigning and caregiving. Clearly, Takaichi's IQ and EQ are both exceptional. 2006 marked a pivotal year in Takaichi's political career. That year, Shinzo Abe became prime minister for the first time. Takaichi entered his cabinet, becoming his disciple and staunch defender. Also on August 15th, the 61st anniversary of Japan's surrender, she visited Yasukuni Shrine, which enshrines Class A war criminals. She was the only cabinet minister to do so publicly, sparking intense domestic and international reaction. Japanese opinion split. China and South Korea criticized Japan. Small anti-Japan protests erupted in Beijing and Shanghai. Some Japanese restaurants faced boycotts. Abe called it personal action without condemnation. From then, Takaichi drew attention and was typecast as a right-wing hawk. After Abe's 2012 re-election as LDP president, Takaichi became one of the party's 3 carriages and its first female policy chief. In cabinet reshuffles, she became the first female Minister of Internal Affairs and Communications, serving the longest term in history. Her close ties with Abe made her the most prominent Abe girl in his cabinet. Takaichi challenged for LDP presidency 3 times, with the slogan Japan is back. In 2021, her first bid lost to Fumio Kishida. From 2022, she served as Minister for Economic Security, overseeing related issues. After Abe's assassination, she vowed to inherit his legacy. In 2024, her second bid pledged to continue Abenomics and the Abe route, but lost narrowly to Ishiba. This year, her third attempt finally succeeded. From entering cabinet politics, Takaichi advanced at the forefront with her most outspoken hardline style. Her conservative domestic stances sparked controversy. She strongly advocates male-line imperial succession, opposing a female emperor, supports traditional unified surnames, explicitly opposing separate surnames for married couples. She opposes same-sex marriage and Western-style equity feminism. Many initially doubted she could stabilize and rise in politics. Most noted externally are her core campaign policies: inheriting Abe's route, proposing to amend Article 9 of Japan's constitution, deleting forever renouncing war, to establish the self-defense forces as a national defense force, responding to CCP military expansion and North Korean missile threats, enhancing proactive defense. This would allow more flexible military participation in international actions, playing an active role, such as supporting U.S. forces in Taiwan Strait conflicts. Her revisionism distinguishes her from so-called centrists/moderates, propagandized by the CCP as militarism revival. On national security, she advocates increasing defense spending, legislating enemy base strike capabilities, and bolstering cybersecurity. On economic security, she plans laws preventing Chinese students and engineers in Japan from taking technology back for CCP military use. She also pushes for flag desecration crimes and regulation of harmful expressions like violence and pornography. Do these not echo Trump's U.S. policies? Thus, Trump's congratulations to Takaichi were more than diplomatic courtesy. He positioned her regime as a symbol of freedom and conservative unity, emphasizing the world needs more right-wing leaders. Takaichi was delighted with Trump's message. Yet Komeido's sudden defection nearly derailed her path. How did she overcome this? It tested her political prestige, intelligence, and experience. Opposition National Democratic Party leader Yuichiro Tamaki twice stated, "I am prepared to serve as Japan's prime minister," emphasizing he would vote for himself in the designation. Leaders of the other two major opposition parties, Constitutional Democratic and Japan Innovation, considered supporting Tamaki. The three opposition chiefs met on October 15th to negotiate nominating him. But Tamaki lacked solutions for future divisions, failing to reach consensus. Then came a spectacular reversal. After the three-party talks collapsed, Innovation Party leader Yoshimura rushed to Tokyo to meet Takaichi. This was a godsend. Takaichi, who had approached the other two opposition parties, quickly reached agreement with Innovation. On the 16th, they announced coalition negotiations. Innovation's abrupt switch blindsided Tamaki, nullifying his nomination. Innovation demanded boldly, presenting 12 conditions to Takaichi, including absolute ones, banning corporate/group donations, designating Osaka as vice capital, reducing food consumption tax to 0% within 2 years, and cutting diet seats by 10%. The last faced broad opposition, including from opposition parties. Previously, the LDP would never accept. This time, Innovation's long-standing wishes were nearly fully met. Thus, when Yoshimura and Takaichi announced the coalition on October 20th, it shocked Japan's political establishment. Media dubbed it the Innovation Surprise. Yoshimura secured unprecedented gains for his party and himself by exploiting the LDP's vulnerability. As Japan's second-largest opposition with 35 House seats, an LDP Innovation coalition would yield 231 seats. Adding votes Takaichi secured from minor opposition parties crossed the majority. The LDP could not miss this. Takaichi became prime minister as desired on the 21st, but Innovation refused cabinet participation like Komeido, opting for external cooperation. No members in cabinet for now. This was the first since Prime Minister Ryutaro Hashimoto's second cabinet reshuffle in 1997. Innovation stance: policy cooperation yes, cabinet entry no, to avoid LDP hijacking and preserve electoral flexibility. They would observe from outside. If the LDP fails to pass bills like the 10% diet seat cut this year, support ends. This challenges Takaichi's cabinet. Promises must be fulfilled. Innovation aligns with the LDP on security. Both support defense spending hikes and constitutional revision. The CCP views innovation as extreme right-wing, even more conservative than the LDP. Japan's first naturalized senator from China, Xi Ping, was sanctioned by the CCP in September, branded a traitor, assets frozen. Xi is an innovation member. The CCP never expected pushing Komeito out would replace it with ultra-right innovation. This backfired spectacularly. Regret is too late. Upon taking office, multiple polls showed Takaichi exceeding her two predecessors' support. Yomiuri Shimbun's October 21st to 22nd survey: 71% approval, 18% disapproval. Support among 18 to 39-year-olds surged to 80%, ranking fifth among initial cabinet polls historically. Youth trends mirror Abe's second-term start. Takaichi honored pre-election promises, appointing rival presidential candidates to key posts, easing fears of an extreme hardline government. Shinjiro Koizumi as defense minister, Yoshimasa Hayashi as internal affairs minister, Toshimitsu Motegi as foreign minister. Her cabinet unprecedentedly named Japan's first female finance minister, Saori Katayama. It newly created economic security minister, assigned a 42-year-old former TV anchor Kimi Onoda, a praised powerhouse model. Onoda was once innovation. Economic security is innovation's top concern. Such arrangements garner more support from innovation and young conservatives. Takaichi's mastery of complex situations is evident. Takaichi adeptly resolved intricate domestic factional divides and skipped Yasukuni during the October 17th Grand Festival. This showed outsiders a rational, pragmatic figure, cautious in diplomacy, unlike her prior cabinet roles. Yet she faces enormous domestic and international challenges. Her tenure length remains a question. Takaichi seeks good relations with the U.S., Taiwan, and China, but the CCP is unlikely to reciprocate. Economically, she confronts complexities: high inflation, heavy livelihood pressures. She also deals with internal LDP splits and unstable alliances. The party lost majorities in both chambers. If the CCP retaliates against her Taiwan support or anti-China hardline by escalating trade friction, and she fails to boost the economy in 6 months, LDP centrists may launch a no-confidence motion. Analogous to Abe's 2007 first resignation, she could repeat Ishiba's fate. In nearly 140 years of constitutional government since the Meiji era, Japan has had over 100 prime ministers, averaging just over 1 year each. This century, only Junichiro Koizumi and Shinzo Abe exceeded 5 years. Others were brief. Musical chairs became norm.